Awaken to your truth that you are the I Am presence in harmony with the divine. You are consciousness beyond what the body and mind identify. Your hosts Lynda Hope and Sharon Berkowitz will remind and enlighten you to know your divine nature. You were born into the body already aware, but forgot it as you expanded your sense of identity, ego mind, pattern behaviors, and habits. Stop sleepwalking and wake up to your timeless, eternal, formless self. Now, here are your hosts of Moment to Moment, Lynda Hope and Sharon Berkowitz.
Hello, namaste. Welcome to Moment to Moment. Hi, Sharon. How are you in Hawaii?
Doing great. Lynda Hope. So good to be here. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. And it's so great. Here you're the light and I'm in the dark. And we're
yes, it's afternoon here in Hawaii.
That's right. 2 o'clock there, 7 o'clock Chicago. And wherever you are in the world, you know, time is an illusion anyway. So.
That's true. It's the second biggest illusion.
Yes. And the first biggest illusion is
the separation never occurred.
That's right. Even though we're separated by miles, we're really not separated at all. We're sort of one right now. And this moment is it. And as our teacher sage would say, and you're it.
You're it. You're the only one.
You're the only one here. And so don't try to figure that out with the mind. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, the mind cannot wrap itself around that idea. So it's just a matter of integrating it and having a knowing about it rather than intellectualizing it.
Yeah. And that knowing is the I am, that I am presence that we are, and that this is the only moment that's really real.
That's right. The moment of now, the presence. It's not about the past or the future, because those are already, they're not occurring right now, because this is the presence.
Yes. And a present to ourselves. The present. Yeah.
The gift.
The gift. We are the gift. Yes. So it's so fun. It's so fun to be with you and to be able to really just express it in the fullness with knowing that truth that's within the oneness consciousness, and to share that with others. And whoever is listening, you know, don't think of this as a lesson in life, because you're really greater than that. You are life itself. So we're really here to say, point the way into that I, right? The big I.
Mm-hmm. It's the big I, the capital S self is what we're referring to, rather than the identity, personal I, the self that believes in concepts and ideas and thoughts and the stories. So that's the smaller self I.
Right. And we were born thinking that's all we are. I mean, I have a big history, and
as we all do, right?
We all as humans have a really long history of believing ourselves to be all that is and nothing more. And it is a interesting time when you can finally see that that's not all you are. But we have to talk about, right? We have to talk about what that illusion looks like, because the small I, that ego mind of ours, likes to get all the attention and take our attention away from the essence of who we are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it does a great, fabulous job, right?
It does.
The ego is all about itself. It's all about a win. It's all about distracting you from you knowing who your true self is. And the ego wants to take you into a deep dive of the stories, of the personal I, and make it about either something else outside of you. It doesn't want you to do that self-inquiry, right? It wants you to keep pointing the finger and blaming all the things about other people, situations, and keep you in the story, keep you trapped.
Yes, and make it all about other people causing pain on you. All things happening to you and not for you. That's the victim, right?
Right, that's the victim consciousness, thinking that somebody else did something to you, or you're believing yourself and self-sabotaging yourself. Even that's, a victim consciousness as well. So it's all about your thought process about it, that it's not your fault, or blaming even yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And the thoughts that come up into our mind, most of us believe that those thoughts are real, and we don't even see
Aren't
them.
they?
Sometimes they feel that way.
They certainly do feel that way.
Yeah. And you think, oh, therefore I am. What did they say? Was that Aristotle? No, that wasn't Aristotle. That was Descartes or Kant. Well, thinking makes you so, right? So you're looking at your thoughts and you have no separation between, that thought and who you are and that action. And so it can take you over. And actually, in most of the cases, we're unconscious with those thoughts. And most of the time, they say that we're run by our unconscious thoughts because we don't know any better and we just regard them as who we are. And we attach so much to our identity on those pattern thoughts and behaviors and concepts, as you were saying, and belief systems. And we form this really strong identity that's all that is. And that's really a place of suffering.
Mm-hmm. And they equate the unconscious mind to that part where, you're looking at a glacier and what you see, what you're consciously aware of, is above the water and everything else is below. And look how big that is. Look how big that unconsciousness is, all those underlying thoughts, and what is the layer and layer and layer of things. And sometimes we need help to understand where it's coming from. That we see a pattern that's always emerging, or we see something that happened once and it happened again, whether it was in a job or a relationship. And it's the ongoing patterning that we get so caught up in. And that's what we were talking about here, is that ego identification, that smaller self, I.
Right. And that small I, as self-interest I, is very clouded. The perception of our reality with that self-interest, it really distorts what's happening in the world, right? Because we create this scenario of that person said this and you misinterpret it, which I found, as the person, I misinterpreted a lot because my ego was like, why are you saying it? What is that reason for that comment? Right. And they don't mean anything by it. But at the time, there's maybe your ego is feeling, minimalized or minimized and diminished. And now you got to, push back and say something that's not so kind.
Right.
And you wonder, why did I say that? That's silly.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's because the ego feels threatened. It feels as though it doesn't want to lose or get annihilated. So what happens is sometimes there's a reaction. We get a gut reaction to something. And it's like, why did I say that? Or where did that come from? But it's coming from something that we're holding deep within ourselves. And through self-inquiry, we could identify what those misperceptions are, because we create stories upon stories about something. There could be an incident that happened, and then we're creating our own agenda about that story. And then we recreate it, and we may say that story to another person, and yet it may not be even the same story that we first came up with.
Right.
So we're playing a game of operator, right? Passing it along, and it could change, or interpretation, or how it was said even. That's how we interpret it through our filtered Mithya glasses. That's and right. Mithya being, the idea that this world really exists in the sense that we think it exists.
Right. And our reality is not the say, oh, come on, wake up. This is real. What is real? Right? What is real? Well, is a movie screen real? Is the characters on the screen real? In a way, we can relate that to our life. I believe Muji was the one that sort of talked about the movie screen, or was it Eckhart Tolle? One of the two. But things happen. The screen is really our consciousness, and everything that happens on that screen projected onto that screen. Does the screen get affected by it? No. the screen is just the screen. The characters, there could be a burning house, but the screen doesn't get burned. It does not affect it. So in a way, we are that consciousness where, we didn't talk about the witness yet, but we are the witness or observer of this play that's happening on the screen. And we're not
ego, right. And the ego consciousness cannot differentiate from what is real and unreal. So if you're watching a movie and you see, like you said, a burning house, the screen isn't really burning, but your interpretation of what you see on the screen is really affecting how you're feeling in that moment. So you might tremble, you might have some fearful thoughts going on, but your body is just sensing that and thinking it's real.
Yes. Oh, I used to be very
It's
much
all
affected
up
by
here.
it. Yeah. I remember as a little child, my babysitter took me to a movie, a Disney movie called Gabriel Gill and the Little People. And it scared me to death. It was these banshees and the lightning and the banshees with the stagecoach, and they were riding up to the top of the hill, and the lightning, and and the horses rearing up. And I was a little girl, but I remember my brother knew that I was really scared, and so every day for about a year, he'd go, "Banshee," and I'd cry and run from the room. It was like torture your sister, and
Right.
it is sort of that kind of that whole thing. That's sort of our life, because we can get really triggered easily when we start to believe that what we see on the screen is really what is in our reality. And people get nightmares. Some people can't sleep at night because they get these thoughts they're going to die, or they think that the things are going to happen to them, and they believe it. Isn't it true that it's not, a thought is nothing unless you believe it?
Right. It's an attachment about it, how you feel about the thoughts, because it's never about that. It's always something that you're superimposing. It's like you were superimposing something onto the banshees.
Yeah.
That, my gosh, they're so scary, and to a little girl, what does that really mean to you? And even as adults, people watching, the scary movies, even The Exorcist, for example, or Jaws, and getting so caught up in watching the movie and believing it to be real. And so we're superimposing that onto something else, and now believing that, oh, now this could be real or that could be real.
Or even we have such a worrying mind that our minds start to carry us off into, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And we haven't even had it happen. That's how crazy our minds can be, right? And that's why it takes us out of this present moment. The worry part, the planning or the worrying of the next moment is so we're fixated on that potentially, or we're fixated on our past, our problems and situation that occurred, and now we're trying to make sense of that. And so on both ends of the stick, on the past and the future, we forget about the present. And then the present moment is just used as a vehicle to experience the past or the future. And it's never fully actualized. It's never fully engaged and honored and cherished and treasured as the most important thing, because it's the only thing that really is real.
And actually what I'm also thinking right now is about that superimposition, that when we're superimposing our thoughts onto something, that then we're making it real, that we're making choices and deciding something. It's like, I'm fearful now because you're not going to come to my party. So now you're thinking a thought of fear, that something that hasn't even happened yet. You're projecting that onto something into the future. So that's taking away from the present moment. And in the past, for example, oh, I'm upset because she didn't come to my party, for example. And just thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm still living in that past, thinking and dreading that it was just awful that happened. So it's taking you away again from the present moment.
Right. And the truth of who we are is the present moment. That's the essence of the I, the capital S, is that we are one with the present moment. We're one in that energy field of oneness that it vibrates at a very high level. Correct? We talked about, before the show, we were talking about David Hawkins, how
Yes.
brilliant, right? How
Right.
brilliant. And you quoted him in your book, Light Wisdom.
Light Wisdom. So this is
So
the book, Light Wisdom.
Perfect. It's a great book, everyone. You need to buy it. It's amazing.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Okay, so here's the quote by Dr. David R. Hawkins. God is the absolute subjectivity that underlies existence and the capacity for awareness. God is beyond all time, place, or human characteristics.
Yes. Yeah.
And the separate self, the personal I, intellectualizes, like we talked about, rather than internalizes. And that is the trapping platform. And that knowing that you're beyond all, even those states of mind, those feelings, because God is beyond all of that. It's beyond any human characteristic. And knowing that the capacity for awareness, that's really and truly who we are, that we are that presence.
And I'm in awareness that I hear some sounds in the background.
Yes. So, sounds down, please.
We are in awareness that somebody is making lunch, probably.
It is that time.
It's that time. But so
There's
yeah.
no
And there's no such thing as time. But anyway, so the idea that we are also vibrational, right, in that God field of oneness, that everything, I think of it as God's grace, that as we are present, fully engaged in the moment, and we can feel that the one consciousness that is really the highest intelligence of the universe flowing through us, we can respond in that moment like we're doing now. We're not reading a script, really. We quote it from a book, but we're not talking from a script. We're really talking from the place of stillness, of that spaciousness within ourselves, and allows the words to flow from us in the moment as it's being revealed.
Mm-hmm. And that's through the heart, heart space. So we're allowing that to come forward, arise from that quietness, that soft, sacred space that does not have the monkey chatter that says, oh, I'm going to speak about this next and next and next. And what comes after that? So it's more of a quieter space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think clarity comes from, where you can just view your world and not label anything. I guess the beauty of going out in nature is to walk by a tree and not say, oh, there's a maple, or that's an oak, or but to fully enjoy what you see without labeling it and limiting it. And we don't have usually that awareness to just be in the knowing of existence and allow everything just to be perfect
Right.
from how we feel we have to label it and judge it and compare it and go, oh, that flower is better than this flower, or that tree looks prettier than that tree, or
or that person's backyard looks better than that person's yard,
right.
That kind of thing too. And I really like what you said, that you're not judging it. You're not putting a label on something, that you're just letting it be. And we talk about that as being what is in that space, because we're just allowing it to be of itself, its own freedom, rather than our own perception put onto it.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
And that's where the higher wisdom comes from when we talk about what is intelligence versus wisdom. Mm-hmm. And the day of, a lot of books and information and, technology, we take outside ourselves, we look at what other people are doing, what other people are saying, what other information is out there. And we don't, like you say, self-inquire into what our wisdom indicates within ourselves as the next opportunity, or what is this moment reflecting to us, or where is our responsibility in this moment? And we're really separating ourselves out by making that other responsible for us. There's no other, right? It's all us.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And, the self-inquiry that we mentioned about before, when we start to remember ourselves as Brahman, as one, and the self-inquiry begins that stage, that really starts that, because then it helps us to let go and to surrender. And when people start doing that and they start self-inquiring and just relaxing and releasing into that, sometimes people may have some, tears that come up, very, tender, quiet, silent tears. But it's because you're resonating with something that now has come up for you in a very deep level. And now you're experiencing that. And that's where that true oneness, that peace, that calm really helps to bring you to a place of liberation, of letting go. And then something can come up like, oh, that's the answer. Oh, I didn't think of that. Because now you're opening yourself up to possibilities, to just having that openness. And I just want to read another quote to you.
Please.
Swami Sri Dharananda. Self-inquiry is looking within through your higher mind, heart. There you can inquire and find where all answers reside. Remember, the answer is within and not out there, because on a higher level, out there is duality with the you and the me. Inside is inquiry as your Brahman self.
Yes. And Brahman meaning God or higher power or whatever you want to say about the divine, as the,
Yes.
so loaded. Unfortunately, some people don't like to use the word God or Brahman or any of the descriptors because of their personal attachment to the word, that they can't really see it as, in the clearest energy field that we want to convey it as. But we're really talking about language, right? And getting in the way anyway, because it is a 3D concept. We're really pointing you all to the essence of who you are, really out beyond words, beyond the body mind.
Mm-hmm.
And what I heard a great descriptive, I think it was, he was part of the Vedanta Society. He's amazing. And he's a Buddhist monk. And he was saying that consciousness with an object is experience. I love that. It makes it so easy to understand. Consciousness plus an object is experience. Because as consciousness itself, we're really beyond experience. Because we're just awake, alert, aware, and as consciousness, everything is in a spacious stillness, whatever way you want to really express it within your knowing of that, witnessing or seeing itself, really recognizing itself, and there's nothing to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start adding to it, it becomes an experience.
Mm-hmm. But just know that experiences, anything plural is duality. So if you're looking at something as just everything as being the oneness, then you're not in duality, because you're not saying her experience, their experience, this happened and that happened. And let me tell you another story, because that's, the multiplicitude of duality. So, but we're looking at something as being as oneness, and just knowing that consciousness level, that higher consciousness, because you could say, poverty consciousness, you could say lower consciousness, you could say diminished consciousness. So, but when you're taking it to a space of awareness and saying, okay, I could be the perceiver, because who's actually perceiving, the one trying to identify with being awakened or being enlightened? Who is that one perceiving it? And then even before that, you can say, okay, that's pure consciousness awareness. Right. And from that space, that's the one that doesn't fade, doesn't die, doesn't go anywhere. It's the presence that's within us, that to say, if I go to Mexico, guess what? It's still going to be there. It doesn't fade away if I take a vacation someplace, or if I go out to the store. The consciousness is always present, always there.
Right. Beautifully said. Yeah, because
Yeah.
experience happens within consciousness.
Mhm.
Everything happens within consciousness. And also, I love talking about conditions, because in the human kingdom, it's all about the condition. So you're in Hawaii with the sunlight, with the shine, in a beautiful day. I'm in Chicago. It's been raining all day and yet it has not affected the mood of this being, because the being is always happy. That doesn't need the conditions to say, oh boy, if I could only have a sunny day, I'd be happy. Or, if that person would call me, that I'd be happy. Or if I eat the right foods, I'll be happy. It's not right. We don't have conditions to shine any. It does not impair our the happiness that we already are.
Yeah, absolutely. And because it's an inside job, right? It's all coming from within. And, if you have a misperception about, oh, it's a rainy, cloudy day, show me another perception about that. Maybe I won't be going out to the ball game, and I'll find something else that I'll visit with friends. So something else may turn up, another door opens, so to speak. And so it's not to say one is good and one is bad.
Right.
It's just what is. And it's in your acceptance of it and your allowance. So that way you don't feel the states of mind being triggered, or the states of mind are feelings. Like, I'm angry about that because, so-and-so got really sick. So I was really frustrated about it. But it's just in that awareness to say, oh, that did happen. So it's not denying that things aren't happening, and you're not reacting to it, but you're responding with love. You're responding in a good way. So then that way more beneficial things can come out of something, rather than looking at something so negative. So it's just another practice. It's another good way to look at things.
That's true. That's true. Well, we're going to take a short break for those to honor our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Moment to Moment on WLTK-DB Talk Radio.
Stay with us.
Brandon Wainwright, author of Tyson's Gift, How an 8-Pound Canine Became a Man's Greatest Spiritual Guide, and owner of Tyson's Gift Healing Arts, offers Reiki as well as color and sound modalities to anyone seeking physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healing. While color and sound healing, a technique that brings balance and health to one's chakras and body, must be provided in person. Reiki, a Japanese form of energy healing, can be given in person or equally effectively from a distance. For more information or to make an appointment for a session, please visit TysonsGiftHealing.com. That's TysonsGiftHealing.com.
Welcome back to Moment to Moment. I'm here with Sharon Berkowitz. My name is Lynda Hope, and we hope that you are enjoying listening to our podcast because we are all about the present moment.
And I like what you said earlier, Lynda Hope, that you are in the world, not of the world. And that is why nothing outside affects you. And I want to read a quote too from my book. Yes. Self-inquiry, taking everything to the inner world. This reveals the truth that neither the ego nor the mind is ever existing.
Yes. And I'd love to do a self-inquiry meditation, if I may. That will sort of set the tone or set the vibration for some who are maybe too much in their mind chatter, trying to make sense of the words that we're using, because words do seem to get in the way a lot. So let's sort of get comfortable, and not like we have to strike a pose, and be all serious and everything. Meditation can be just noticing the breath, where it can just be listening to a bird singing. It could be hearing the rain falling. Anything that brings a place of spaciousness within yourself and directs yourself into that moment beyond the thought. So we can close our eyes or we can keep them open. And right now we can put our fingers just to position the attention to our heart. We can put our fingers on our heart space and feel maybe our heart pounding or subtly. If it's pounding too hard, it's time to go to the hospital. No, but we're going to just sit here quietly. And we're going to just sort of notice where we are in our chair, in the room. Feel our body energy, because our body is all energy. It vibrates. All things around us are made of energy. Vibrates at different frequencies, as we all know. And this sense of connectiveness with this energy, inward and outward, is all part of this moment, this now. And if you do realize or observe the mind chatter, you can observe it passing. Thoughts could pass just like a cloud passes, but you are the sky. Just remain as this beautiful, spacious, unlimited sense of energy that is always here, always present. And again, if a thought comes, just observe it and allow it to pass. Same thing with the body or emotions. If there is a sensation in the body, just allow it to be present. Just see it as a passing feeling or sensation. And notice that when it passes, you have not gone with it. You are still present. Because everything ephemeral, everything that is sensory, perceptions, thoughts, feelings, emotions, they're all passing. They all rise and fall within consciousness. And the breath that we take is part of the knowing that we are being breathed and that we are fully in this moment. It helps anchor us fully in this now moment. So throughout your day, if you even have one moment to take an intentional breath and to fully breathe in deeply and then exhale fully out, you have opened up space within yourself, in your consciousness. And you realize in that space that that's all you are. So do that as much as you can during the day and realize from that deeper place that you are consciousness. And if you can do that several times during the day and be the witness of all that is around you and stay in that neutral place of awareness, that's how you build this self-inquiry within yourself. And you see the truth. begin to see the truth beyond the psychological mind. What a blessing. What a blessing you are. So let's take a big cleansing breath in. And one out. And know that you are always in this state of meditation, in the place of stillness. This is just a reminder. And so we are here just to point your way back to your truth. Right, Sharon?
That's right.
Yes. Feels good.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a beautiful, beautiful meditation, bringing to that space of quietness, of stillness, that this is the place to self-inquire, to go within. And also want to share too something else regarding this. So when experiencing any resistance, ask to go within. Self-inquire your personal I, why it's showing up, and why you are feeling any disharmony. So often people may accept the first thing that they hear about themselves when they're self-inquiring. However, the suggestion is to go deeper into the next layer and the next layer after that to see how this all fits. Because it's really important to just keep going deeper and deeper.
And the word deeper or higher, it's just, again, a concept. But it is, we have to use words in order to point to the direction of where our intention is. Yeah. And I think also the level of energy, as we talked about energy with David Hawkins, I would like to share, if I may, let's see if I can share the settings. I don't think I can right now, but there is a beautiful graphic way of that David Hawkins has in his book called Mapping of Consciousness. And it talks about us as energy, different, as we said, different levels of energy. And at a lower energy, he talks about anger, right? And feeling the victim. And then you work your way up into energetically into a place of consciousness. He actually talks about the place of courage, that place of courage is the desire to look within, to say, my life, whatever my life is not working, that I am pretty miserable. I'm an angry, negative person identity, heavy personal identity. You know how sometimes we are around people that we just feel like we want to get away from them because they're just really heavy. I think as Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body, really heavy pain body, we can sense that within people. We could also sense in certain people that they're all in their head, and they look really worried and, very much not in the moment. Obviously, they're just so distracted. Those are the lower vibrations. And then you get to a place of neutrality that you allow this world to sort of show itself to you in that place of equanimity, which Buddhism talks about a lot, where everything is not right or wrong. It just is, sort of like allowing it to be a rainy day versus a sunny day. Should I feel happy or sad? It doesn't really matter because it is what it is. Okay. And I think we also can appreciate that when we get sick too, so that we can say our body is sick, but we're not sick. It's not who we are. So working our way up the ladder of energy and just accepting it, then there's a place of actual appreciation that we bring in to that energy that ignites it and gives it a positive, higher energy level of appreciation and gratitude, extremely high vibrational. And then what he talks about, of course, getting to that level of 600 to 1,000, which is really your place of love, and even above that, transcendence. And so I love this one graph, because this one graph actually correlates a person's level of how they operate in the world. So if you're If you're lower, you're more likely to have criminal tendencies. Really, he shows us on this chart. And he talks about the level of unhappiness. Well, of course, if you're always angry, are you really happy? And then also employment. You're definitely not employable. And so as you get higher up, you get like 600, you're definitely employable. You're a very happy camper, and you're at a level of abundance. So the poverty, you're no longer at a poverty level. You're at a place of abundance. And so it's fascinating to see how the person in the world from this place of energy, of consciousness, operates.
It's a level of vibration. So each one of these that you're speaking about carries its own vibrational level. That's what you're speaking about. That,
Right.
Let's say you have love, that could be 500. That's like in the middle and above. So if you're vibrating at that level, then you're no longer in that negativity, as you talked about, like the anger, for example. But when you're faced with that and you're realizing what energy level that you're in, it's a good time to take a deep breath in and just take yourself out of it and observe, Sharon is experiencing frustration, for example. And you just kind of breathe that, take that, and you want to dissolve those states of mind that are that lower vibration. Because once you clear those energies, more beneficial things start showing up in your life. And then you start vibrating at the higher level. So, and we talk about, the infinite, right? And we talk about things that are beyond. So the higher vibration that Dr. David Hawkins talks about, the higher vibration, if we're all vibrating at that, it's going to remove a lot of crime. It's going to take away a lot of, ill will feelings and thoughts and people living in misperceptions. It's going to change the way the world looks, even though there's, it's just a growing place and a place to learn from. It's still not a great teacher because the greatest gift is within, knowing who you are. So here's a lesson. A limited, finite reality relieves one of all choices, believing that perceptions and concepts are real. Ultimate reality is the only real reality, is Brahman reality. In ultimate reality, the choice has already been made. To a person who believes they have choices, the implication is there is more than one. To the enlightened higher mind, everything is contained and occurring simultaneously within one. To attain the higher enlightened mind, one must start with self-inquiry as to remembering one is Brahman. As being Brahman, turn your attention toward what you want. Next, take responsibility without trying to control, but rather ask how to make this happen. Whatever it is you are inquiring about, then ask how I may be in alignment as Ishwara to be of service. And finally, ask how kind and loving can I be today? And Ishwara is actually your God self, your own Godhead self. So I thought that was very, very interesting. Just thought I would share.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And it's with the limited view that we think we are people. And I love to compare between, human being. What is a human being? Most of us know what being human means, but we don't realize, many of us don't realize we have an ego mind. That's like fundamental. What is it? 101. That goes into a book. What do you call Awakening for Dummies?
No, but that's the paradox. We have to be gentle on ourselves when we go through these things because, as being human, you have questions, you want answers, right? But, everything is a paradox, everything.
Right. And so on a human level, we're very flawed. And if we look at it from the perspective of knowing that as humans, we're living in duality, So we're constantly going back and forth between this going right and that going wrong and changing opinions. I was always flabbergasted by my father, I have to say, on a personal note. Lynda was always flabbergasted by my father because he would change his opinion like he changed his shirts. I mean, he would 1 minute he would love this guy. This guy was his best friend, and the next minute he's not talking to him. It's like, what happened? My mom would say, I thought you really liked. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Or when are we going out to dinner? We're going out to, oh, I'm so hungry. Let's go out to dinner. He goes, you know what? I'm not hungry. Oh, that used to, my mother, she was a very laid back woman. No matter what, it was okay. But when she had an appetite for something, he goes, let's go eat at this restaurant. And all of a sudden she's like really waiting for it. And then he goes, yeah, I'm not hungry.
No, and that's expectation, right? Because now you're expecting something.
Yes.
And then if it doesn't happen, then you feel hurt or you feel,
it's like it's
frustrated.
taken away from you. Like, how dare you do that to me? I had my appetite all going, and she looked at him and go, but I'm hungry.
So now it changed again, and now you're going out, right?
Yeah. And then he goes, okay, we're going out.
Yeah.
But it's hysterical to watch us as people trying to maneuver the world. And even in this really complex world that we live in now with really no signposts of how we're supposed to, after the, whatever that was, COVID thing. And now it's a new day. It doesn't have the predictability, which we love that as people, right? We like it to be so habitual. We like it to be the same way. And people are not going to work like they used to. They're more online. People are still wearing the mask, not wearing the mask. People are vaxxed, not wearing vax. People in politics. I mean, it's all over the place. This is the time to realize who you are, because you're going to be so confused.
Right.
And you're going to be in a state of suffering all the time.
So it's also what we talked about, acceptance of what is, right? And so we know that what we went through is that period of time like that. And yes, there's still some residue of people wearing masks and still, getting a vaccination and so forth, right? And it's all personal choice. It's up to the person whether they do it or they don't do it. But are you judging that person? Are you saying that, why are they doing that? Why are they wearing a mask still? And then, but you come to the understanding that, it's okay. It's their choice to do that. So you're not being argumentative. You're not comparing one person to another person, and you're just letting it be. So that's part of the surrender. That's part of allowing it as what is.
Right.
Yeah. So
and
that's
it's not fear-based, because fear is that low vibration, really low vibration. And so, I know some people that felt they would never have COVID because they just were not going to get it. I mean, they're going to go get their vax, they're going to get boosted, they're going to do everything, and then they get it anyway.
That's true.
And you realize, and then there are some people that say, if you're not vaxxed, you're a walking plague, because they have this conception of, those stories out there that are said about a set of people, and they're irresponsible. And then they collectively, they connect them. It's just like all the judgments we've had in the past about race and socioeconomic status, and, you're white, you're black, all those biases that we've accumulated over our lifetime that separate us out from everybody else, that causes the havoc in the world is really so. It's all an illusion, and it's really forcing us, hopefully a lot of us, to wake up and say, is this really true? Is this really our life? Is this really how we're supposed to live? Right? What is there? There's got to be something greater than that. Something better than this going on.
And this is the greatest illusion. This is it. We must awaken from this dream. This is all the dream. This is a dream emanating from our mind. Like we talked about, there's a story about a story. Let me tell you this story. Let me tell you what someone else said. This is more and more and more. And yet understanding that that's causing even more separation, as you just talked about. And so when we realize that, Let's come from a higher place of knowing, a higher place of an energy vibration that, there's no separation, for example, rights, you talk about Black people, white people, we talked about women's rights, we talk about, rights of children even. So we're just saying that, how can we rise above this and just be in that quiet space that you brought us to today, and know that that always is existing, that it's always present, it's always here. And if we can let go of the judgments and let go of analyzing so much into everything and just let life take care of life, in other words, let everything just unfold, as they say, then this could be a totally different world, so to speak.
Absolutely. So well said, Sharon. Yeah, it's perfect. And knowing that everything in this moment is perfect. It is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Yes.
we're the only ones that get in our own heads and make this something that it's not.
You mean it's
Yeah.
not? Okay.
Right? And
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
funny part of it is nobody else changes the way that, I mean, everybody looks at this moment in so different ways. They can see it as a blessing or a curse, and they can see their life unfolding in it either in a negative or positive way based on their patterns and their habitual ways of thinking. And until they're awake and realizing that they're conditioned or patterned, they're going to continue every day to approach life in the same way, day after
Mm-hmm.
day, with the same 70,000, I don't know how many thoughts a day that are all the same all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Muji said that the moment that you wake up is when you notice that you are not your thoughts. And that's what really began this talk all about, was not relating, not believing any of that, and knowing it's all your ego wanting your
It's
attention and taking you
absolutely.
out of now.
Yeah,
That's it.
all ego driven. And I want to read something too. Here's a note to the personal I, that if you're negatively triggered, your ego might look or even sound very and be defensive, blaming, being angry, hostile, or judgmental. So self-inquiry, when experiencing peace and calm, it'll help us to take a deeper look at that. This process helps me to see what my truth is and that which I perceived happening, and to re-correct mistruths, erroneous beliefs, and dissolve all states of mind that have presented. This is a great opportunity. When we are beyond the ego, this might look like saying, oh, yes, and thank you. And like you talked about earlier, about being in gratitude for whatever comes your way, because it's not about the story. It's not about what happened. It's your response to it. Are you responding to it with fighting with anger again, anger to anger? It's like talking to someone that's been drinking. You're not going to go too far. You're not going to get anywhere, anything resolved. But if you're coming from a place of peace and calm, and then discussing, and then having talk about it, come from that peace. And again, we talk about self-inquiry, going within and finding that gentle space within your heart that opens you up, that helps you to be expressive in good ways, and helps you to be neighborly, so to speak, and to have better self-reflections of self, that now you can say, oh, that's what this means to me. Or you're uncovering and you're discovering something deeper within yourself that needed to come up to the surface. And then you could say, okay, and then deep breath into that, and then dissolve those states of mind. And you may even feel yourself taking a deep breath in as I'm saying this, because your body can relate to it. Your body understands. There's some kind of inner knowing. There's a part of you that understands this, what we're talking about. And just letting that be and reflecting on that, and then see what emerges from there.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, one thing I want to add to what you're saying is that when you see what's reflected back to you, all of a sudden you're getting smiles. I love it when you're walking down, you walk down the street. I have a complex here where I just take a walk, power walk around every day. And I notice that when I'm in my joy, that everybody I come in contact, walking near me or coming towards me, they're happy. It's like, you're like a magnet for those people. Or I'll go grocery shopping and the nicest people are around me, right? They're helping me with the bags, or they're saying, hey, I'll help you over here. Come. So today I went into a line, I was waiting, go, oh, no, come on over here. I'll help you with that. Oh, okay.
I love that. It opened up just for you.
Yeah, just for me. Oh, really? Thank you. I'm so kind of you. Yeah. And then I got a beautiful text from my daughter, Cheryl. She's like, thank you, Mom. Appreciate everything you did. Da, da, da. And I went, oh, that's great. So yeah, it is a reflection back in your world, since you're the only one here, really. And you are reflecting everything back into your vibration. And so when you know that you're in that, it's sort of like a affirmation. You're affirming your level of consciousness in that moment. But then what happens if all of a sudden you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're going, oh, I'm a victim, and and you don't notice it, you're going to find things reflected back in your day that's not going so well. So
right.
Yeah.
And it's all about synchronicity too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being in the flow of synchronicity, like you were in. And it's just like, oh, I need this now. And it shows up. It's like, oh, that line opened up. It brings you to that higher vibration that you were in. And then that's what you were attracting. And in Hawaii, for example, you can just walk down the street and people really smile from their heart. Genuinely. You may not even know who they are, but they're just so happy to see you. And there's such gratefulness in that. And we call that the aloha spirit, welcome and setting joy. It's like namaste, the God in me recognizes the God in you. And it's just a real, true, authentic sense of being. And that's also, the fabric of who we really are. It's the true essence. It's what's underneath that, what's inside here. That's what connects all of us as one. And everything else is just more of what's transposing what we're putting out there. Right. And putting that out onto something else, like, superimposing, as we said. But everything is a smile within.
Right. And if we begin the process of continuing that insightful awareness within ourselves and continue to see how long we can maintain that throughout the day, it becomes even more of who we are, and it becomes very natural. And we can see our mind thoughts diminishing, not as full of these pattern behaviors. We can begin to see them fading, and we don't even have to do anything about them. They're just not holding any water, because they are not holding on to any identity because your identity is no longer who you are, that you no longer associate your life predicated on this person with an agenda. You're now, being in the moment. And that's the being part of us. That's our being, the essence, the spirit, the love, the joy, the peace that emanates from the being of that. And the human can still operate. The human still operates, and the world reflects, and you reflect back. But there's that deeper knowing. And so, this is why we're here. Sharon and I are here to impart a deeper knowing, an expansiveness and aliveness within your perception, your consciousness that you are. And so we hope you join us again next week on Moment to Moment. And Sharon, you want to say a final goodbye as well?
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today, knowing your true self. And that's the part of you that never changes. That's the part of yourself that is stable, that is definitive, and it's infinite. And the only thing that changes is the separate self-identity. And just know that. And when you're in that knowing that you already have what you need, and it's already here inside you. And then that's the true nature of self. And knowing that it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't die, it doesn't disappear. It doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't do any of that. So thank you for this opportunity. Hope to be with you today.
And we welcome everyone to join us every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, or wherever you are, 2 o'clock in Hawaii, for Moment to Moment on WLTK-D Talk Radio. Namaste.
Namaste.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.